That's why in the starting itself, I just told you the complete flow so that now it is easy for you to understand the things. You might feel that it is a simple thing or you might relate by this. That's why in the starting, I just told you the complete flow in and out so that it will not be a bother to you each and every slide. So after creating purchase acquisition, we need to send our requirement to the vendor to procure those material. I already mentioned ME21 and for creating a purchase order for the purchase acquisition. So what is RFQ? What is RFQ?
So
Request for quotation.
request for quotation,
So
like
once
it doesn't. So request for quotation is like an external thing, right? Because quotation is like bargaining particular product.
no, quotation is not like bargaining. No. You don't get confused. So once you have finalized the purchase acquisition, so purchase acquisition, this is a document. You are having a list that I have to buy these I have to buy 100 pens and 200 markers. So you have finalized this. Now what the purchase organization will do? This is a task of the purchase organization. This is the not a task of the SD department, not a task of the department. So this is the task of the purchase organization. So what purchase organization will do, can you tell me? So purchase organization will not go directly to the shop and purchase 100 pen and the 200 marker. No, he will request for a quotation. He will just give an advertisement or anyhow he will just request for quotation from different vendors in the sense different shops or different organization, different client, whatever the service providers, whatever, they just roll out the request for quotation. So in that 10 or 20 people will come up and say that yeah, I can give you this pen at a cost of 20 rupees per pen. Someone come up and say yeah, I can give it for 18 rupees. Someone can come, yeah, I can give it for 15. So request for quotation is nothing. This is an advertisement. This is a rollout phase by the purchase organization where they are demanding, where they are accepting the prices. They are demanding the prices from the different vendors that what are the lower prices. Suppose let us say I received the lowest price of 50. Then I call up that guy and call in my organization and just ask them that in a year I'll purchase 10,000 pens. This is a requirement as of now for 100 pens, but in a year I'll purchase 10,000. So again, I have to get a reduced price, not 50, purchase in 10. So this is negotiation. So after finalization of the request for quotations, then negotiation part will come in the picture. So request for quotation is for vendor selection. This is a very important process. Vendor selection. How will you select it from which vendor you have to procure the material? So you have to check the vendor who can fulfill this thing, fulfill your requirements at the best possible price.
So the company can also look at the master data, right? I mean, what kind of a vendor they had before. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Otherwise, they can even send a tender from outside. That this is what they require. They can advertise kind of a
yeah.
tender.
Most of the cases, they will float a tender. Most of the
Tender.
cases, the tender will be invited. But for private company, they just some of the times. So what I believe is that what most companies work in that way. There is some threshold value. Let us say they have set a limit of 50,000. So up to 50,000, we can purchase via RFQ. That you can roll out the quotation, different vendors will come up and you can just purchase up to 50,000. If the amount is greater than 50,000, you have to invite an online tender. So this is how an organization works. So this totally depends on the type of the organization, level of the organization, owner discretionary power. Owner come up and say that no, up to 2 lakhs. So up to 2 lakhs we can purchase, we can procure via RFQ. Above 2 lakhs we have to go with the tender. So this depends. So there is no hard and fast rule. So it depends on the will of the owner. So what's the T code for this? AMI41. Again, we have to provide the same details. So this is automatic creation of RFQ. So once you have created a purchase acquisition in the SAP system, so from the purchase acquisition itself, you can directly create an RFQ. This is automatic creation. So reference to purchase acquisition. So inside this T code, create RFQ, there is a reference. We can provide a reference of purchase acquisition. So in that case, when you click on that and you provide the purchase acquisition number, you need not to enter all the details. All the details get automatically populated from the purchase acquisition. You have already entered the acquisition number for which you want to create RFQ. Just enter that number and automatically all details get populated over there.
Even the quotation deadline will automatically like punch up a quotation deadline that we'll
No, quotation deadline you have to provide.
have to provide.
Automatic RFQ in the sense whatever the details, just like company code, plant, purchase organization, that you need not to fill. That
Yeah,
automatically
exactly.
get filled.
That's true.
Deadline you
Even
have to specify.
yeah, date we have to.
Means you can say that 90% of the details get automatically filled.
Exactly.
You
It
need
is, I
not
think,
to enter.
it's inbuilt in the database itself that because probably it might have been done before.
Yes, yes, correct. What is the agreement? So once everything is done, once purchase acquisition rollout, you call for RFQ, vendors provide their prices, negotiation is done, everything is done. Then an agreement is signed between an organization and that vendor. So that agreement is nothing but an outline agreement. So once vendors are shortlisted, it enters into an agreement with a certain vendor to supply certain items with certain conditions. And typically, when agreement is reached, a formal contract is signed with the vendor. So it is a long term purchase agreement with the vendor. So we can see when everything gets finalized, we have to provide an agreement to that vendor that for 1 year I'll procure this material from you at so and so price, and this is my condition that we have to verify all the materials, then only we'll receive the payment. So there are some conditions we have to specify. So this is nothing but a outline agreement. So long-term purchasing agreement with the vendor containing terms and conditions regarding the material. Valid up to a certain period of time, can be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, can be of 6 months, 3 months. So it totally depends on the one who is requesting the RFQ. So it depends on that person only. So it is of two types. One is a contract, another is scheduling agreement. So there are two types we can have an agreement. One is contract. So it is a long-term outline agreement. We can have two types of contract. If very, very important, quantity contract and the value contract. Can you explain me the difference? From the name itself, it's very clear. Quantity contract and the value contract.
No, I believe it's same. It's a quality contract. It's type of overall value is specified in terms of total quantity.
In which the overall value is defined and the that concerned parties are bound up to a certain amount. But I'll procure 10,000 bags of cement from you. So this is a quantity contract where we
Uh,
specify the quantity, and when we
Quantity
specify the value, this is
contract.
value contract.
Quantity contract is like in short term bulk.
Then it is a value contract. If we specify the quantity, then it becomes a quantity contract. But if we specify the value, the amount for which we are going to procure the material from you, then this will become a value contract. Contract is nothing. This is an agreement, outline agreement, vendor or ordering party. So what is the T code? ME31K. Actually, it depends from it varies from industry to industry. It varies from requirement to requirement.
So that comes under quantity contract. Exactly.
Right, right.
And so then value contract?
Value contract,
Exactly.
generally industries deal with the quantity. Now what is scheduling agreement? This is a sub part of this outline agreement, we can say. When you provide a schedule in the agreement itself, in the month wise, days wise, anyway, in the week wise, in terms of week, anyway, which are procured on predefined dates over a framework of time. Whatever the timeline you have specified, in that timeline you just want to procure it on predefined dates. So that is a part of that will become a scheduling agreement. So what is the T code for that? ME31F. Now what are schedule lines? The same thing. Schedule lines are nothing. This is again a very good example. You might come across the scenario in your organization. I don't know or not what, that you want to procure 100 tons of steel bar. Okay, vendor has also its capacity 20 tons of steel bars I can provide within a complete year. So in that case, what you will do? Your demand is of 100 tons and your vendor is saying that I can provide only 20 tons. So what you will do in that case? I'll go and ask from the other vendors also, right? Because my demand is of 100 tons. So I just provide a quota to three vendors. For the one vendor, I'm saying that okay, you provide me 20 tons. I just pick up another vendor and I just sign an agreement that I need 60 tons from you or 70 tons from you. I just pick up another vendor, third vendor, and I just signed a quota agreement with that I need 10 tons from you. So when I sum up all these things, I find that now my requirement got fulfilled. Now I can have what my demand is. Okay, so this is a quota arrangement. We specify the quota. So it divides the total requirement of material among certain sources of supply. That is the vendors, we can say. What are the sources of supply, and then assign quota to each. So this is a quota arrangement. I think it's quite, from the name itself, it's quite very clear. T code MM03 for creating a quota. So what is a posting period? That you have signed an agreement for 30 days, right? If for in 30 days you have to provide me 100 tons of steel bars, let us say, and within 30 days that vendor supplied you the your requirement, that is 100 tons of steel bars. So you have defined the period of 30 days. So after 30 days, if you just go into the SAP system and just try to enter that vendor has sent another 50 tons of steel bars, will that system apply? Should the system take or 50 tons of input from that particular vendor. So we are having the posting. You already know what the posting means. So posting periods, it means allow you to post and make changes in the documents only in a specific time period. Means suppose you have created any document, and after creation of the document you have to post those documents. So while posting you can make any of the changes. So this is open and close posting period. So what is the T code for that? OB52. So here provide the name of the variant, account details, year. Now this is very important thing, order types, purchase order types. Okay, so what will happen whenever we create any purchase order, we assign some order types along with the purchase order. So that order types will define the functionality of the purchase order. Okay, whether it is consignment, whether it is subcontracting, whether it is pipeline, whether it is third party or stock transfer or service. So SAP ERP has introduced so many procurement types so that it can be implemented efficiently in terms of time and cost. So procurement can be done for various type of goods and services. So start with the purchase order, that is a formal document given to the vendor, and it includes the list of goods and services that are to be procured. Okay, what is procurement type? What is purchase order type? This is very important. Are you getting purchase order type? What is the meaning of the purchase order type? Means by checking the purchase order type itself, you can check. Generally, we used to create a purchase order if we want to procure some goods and materials from the vendor, right? But it is not the case that always we have to create a purchase order when we have to procure the goods. Sometimes what happens, we have procured the material for one of the plant, but we are having four plants in total.